Winter, a Christmas Wish. The days that followed were distorted and terrifying for Mandy, after which she couldn't recall whether they had been reality or whether they were still part of her dream. She was delirious most of the time. Her fever was dangerously high. Whenever she opened her eyes, she discovered she couldn't focus on anything. There was a vibrating sensation in her body, a constant buzzing in her head. She was conscious of voices from time to time. She recognized Dr. Matthews and thought she heard Matron Bridie's too, but other voices were unfamiliar. She couldn't place them. And just as she tried to grasp what they might be saying to her, they would fade away or roar so loudly she thought her head would explode with the noise. At times she felt a soft, cool hand on her brow and saw a woman's face, sweet and concerned. And often an arm was about her shoulders and a cup of liquid held to her lips. Mandy was aware of tender and loving care, but sometimes it threatened to become the nightmare again, and she cried out in fear. When she drank to ease her parched throat, the cup in front of her often seemed as small as a thimble, and her lips would feel so thick and swollen it was impossible to encompass it. Then again the cup would appear as large as a bowl, and she would have to adjust to that. She was incredibly weak and couldn't move without someone helping her. The effort of breathing required all the strength she possessed. As she fought for air, she heard the sounds that her breathing made and felt the painful thickness in her chest. Once she vaguely heard Dr. Matthews' voice, serious and far away. She mustn't be moved. She should stay here. And there was the sharp prick of a needle and always the burning skin and limbs aching from fever. But gradually the pain lessened and her temperature subsided a little. She no longer cried out and spoke deliriously. Sleep claimed her for long, restoring periods. If she did wake in the dark and lonely nights, then the woman with the soft voice was miraculously there to soothe and comfort her. Finally, the day came when Mandy awoke to discover that the world was no longer out of focus. She opened her eyes slowly and became aware of a soft pink room and watery sunlight shining gently through transparent curtains at a high window. Mandy slowly turned her head and saw a chair, a fireplace, a table in one corner of the room with bottles and glasses and a thermometer on it. A pretty coverlet was on her bed. She looked up and noticed every detail of the ceiling, molded plaster flowers and garlands standing out in sharp, clear relief. She stirred and immediately there was a movement beside her. The lady with the sweet face had been sitting in a chair near her bed. Now she came to her and smiled. Here's a picture. Hello, Mandy. It's good to see you awake at last. The gentle voice was warm and friendly. How are you feeling? A bit thirsty, Mandy spoke shyly. Well, that's easily remedied. Here. She filled a glass with water and helped Mandy sit up to drink it. I've been wondering when you would finally open your eyes. You know, this is the first time you've been really awake in 3 whole days. Oh, Mandy wondered where she was and why she wasn't at the orphanage. You've been a very sick little girl. Yes. She lay back against the pillow. Everything seemed too bright. The light from the window made her head ache. She couldn't understand why it was all so clear and sharp. Why the room and even the woman, her face, dress, the ring on her finger, stood out in such detail. This clarity of vision was such a contrast to the confusing period she had just been through that it was almost painful. Mandy closed her eyes again. Better to shut it all out. She heard a door open quietly. The lady spoke softly. Oh, Bill, she's awake. She just came to and seemed quite lucid. Good, Mandy heard someone move toward the bed, and she felt a hand on her brow. Fever's gone down too, I should say. Mandy would like to have seen who it was who spoke. There were so many questions she wanted to ask. But somehow the thought of facing the world so soon was too much, too real, too immediate. If she could keep her eyes closed just a little longer, it was so comfortable in the bed, and everything would wait until another day. She turned away and let herself slip down into sleep again. The voices beside her faded away. It'll be a while yet before she's able to sit up and take notice. This was an emotional illness, too. Yes, poor child. She'll need a lot of rest and love.